guess in 4 or 5 years, the new generation's music will be, it'll have a synthesis of those two elements and some third thing that'll be entirely, maybe it'll be, it might rely heavily on electronics, tapes. I can kind of envision maybe one person with a lot of machines.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to FPL Today Live. Thank you so much for joining the stream. Thank you to the 35 of you already here. It's that time of the year, of course, where FPL is the hot topic. So thank you to a bunch of you for joining. What is everybody drinking? I'm drinking original Strongbow cider. No advertisement, no plug, no sponsorship. I mean, if Strongbow want to, then holler at your boy. Don't worry about it. I'm happy to use any alcohol as sponsor of this stream. Anyway, we will say hello to some people in the chat. We have got Matthew Berry, we've got Ismail Mayet, Seb Hodson, Aaron Scott, TP, Enger Turk, Bakary, Waza, Fire Tog, Daz Dark, TP. I think I said TP already. So thank you guys. The regulars are here, as I've now confirmed that my audio is working, so I can get on with the stream. First of all, apologies for not many videos recently. I think I've only got 2 up this week. Family stuff. I do have a holiday starting next week, but again, got to do some work around the flat. So we'll get as much content out as possible, but hopefully FPL live streams should be the way around all that. So hopefully we're going to do a lot of live streams leading into the beginning of the Premier League season. And we are probably maybe going to do one live stream where I do rate my teams, because I feel like content-wise and also speed-wise, doing rate my teams really slows me down, and also isn't stuff like, doesn't really get into the meat and bones of anything when I just literally talk about this is your side, reel off some names, say which ones I don't like, which ones I do like, and then I end up repeating myself. So apologies to anyone that's already put a rate my team in there. Maybe tweet at me and then I can have a quick response there, but I'm not going to be doing any of them in live stream. And we are also going to, if we do catch up with the chat, talk about the pre-season so far for some teams, which teams I think could do well, which teams have a good start and on form, which teams haven't had a good start in pre-season and I worry a little bit about, and we will of course answer your questions as always. So we will go through the chat, and I may not respond to every single message in the chat, but I will try and answer questions. And the first one we've got is from Matthew Berry, and it's a Aubameyang or Aguero, which I believe, and apologies if I keep touching my nose, I've just eaten some hot food, so my nose is running a little bit. Literally, I finished dinner and started the stream, so not the most ideal situations. It's hot in here. It's very hot in here. But Aubameyang or Aguero, I think, done a video on this, if I just quickly check. Really look appealing, keep rubbing my nose with my fingers. Fortunately, I haven't touched my nose with any chilies or anything like that. That would be a nightmare. Yeah, I've literally done a video on Aubameyang or Aguero. I've talked about it in a live stream before. But just quickly, because I have answered it before, I think Aubameyang after game week 2, Aubameyang is a good look. I was much higher on Aubameyang 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'm now liking the look of Lacazette, because you're getting value for money with Lacazette. It looks like he's going to lead the line and Aubameyang is going to play out wide. Now, Aubameyang could prosper from playing out wide. It's possible. But Lacazette will save you money which you can spend elsewhere, and looks like he's leading the line for an Arsenal side that looking good tick going into the start of the Premier League season. So, as for Aguero, he went to the World Cup. Man City have rotation. I think Aubameyang and Lacazette less likely to get rotated. So right now I'm leaning towards Aubameyang and Lacazette over Aguero purely because of rotation. But I mean, for pure class, Aguero has done it year in, year out. That Man City side share a lot of points around, whereas I think Aubameyang and Lacazette could be very focal for the amount of goals they get. I mean, so far in pre-season, we have Aubameyang on 5 goals, 3 assists. Lacazette is on 6 goals and 1 assist. And Arsenal looking good tick. They did lose to Brentford in a friendly, but I think that's when they had a lot of youngsters out. They've drawn with Atletico Madrid. They've beaten PSG. They've drawn with Chelsea. So Aubameyang and Lacazette have looked pretty good. Whereas if we look at Man City, I don't think Aguero has made any appearances with Man City just yet. I mean, the form player so far is Bernardo Silva, 2 goals, 1 assist. Sane's now got 1 goal. But as far as I can tell, looking at this, Aguero has not featured yet. So I imagine he isn't going to start the season. So at the moment, Aubameyang over Aguero. But I would also be considering Lacazette instead of Aubameyang. And that's the way I'm looking at that situation so far, Matthew. We will wish Hereford and Tranmere good luck as their season starts this weekend. Wazzer, it has been a while since I've seen you in the chat. Good to see you in the chat. We've got Aaron Scott with 3... By the way, there's poll questions that I got off of Twitter, so go answer the polls. And we will actually go to the normal live screen because I forgot to change it now that we've done the intro and talked. If you haven't seen it, this is my new live screen. Hope you like it. Hope it is a bit more informative, a bit more interesting than the old one. But 7 million strikers, good or bad? Now, I'm going to have to say 3 of them is probably bad. And the reason I say that is no 7 million striker got into the top 5 strikers. In fact, Arnautovic was the closest last season, 144. You had Lukaku, Aguero, Firmino, Vardy and Kane all scoring more points. Now, of course, Jesus didn't score as many, so there are more expensive strikers that didn't score as many as 7 million choices. But the way I look at it, you want one of the premium top scoring strikers. Thank you so much to Robert Hansen for donating to the flock. Thank you very much, although I didn't actually get that audio, so I only realised because I actually looked at my OBS. So thank you so much to the legend. That is Robert Hansen. Thank you so much. I don't know what currency that is, but thank you. Much appreciated, mate. Some hearts in the chat for Robert. Anyway, carrying on with the question. Arnautovic is the only one that came close to the top 5, and he was still 18 points behind Lukaku. So I would say you need one of the premium strikers. Now, to me, Kane has been one of the top scoring strikers the last 3 years. So Kane looks like a good bet. Maybe not for the start of the season, but have a plan to bring Kane in after August, of course. Vardy was very good value for money, actually, last season. Actually scoring more points than Firmino. Firmino and Vardy better value than Aguero and Lukaku. I think you need a 9 million plus striker. 7 million strikers you could have last year, and we're using last year as a basis to figure this out with. If you'd gone with Arnautovic and Zaha, and then the next £7 million striker that actually did well would have been Rashford, who didn't actually get that many starts. I'm assuming you're thinking Toussaint will do very good at the start of the season. Now, you could argue that that lets you spend more in midfield, and there are a lot of strikers that scored more than the second, a lot of midfielders that scored more than the second best striker. So the second best striker scored 183 points, and you have 5 midfielders that scored more than that. But are you going to triple up on Man City? Sterling, De Bruyne, Mahrez? Probably not. So figure out what we need to do during the season is figure out who the best premium price striker is, and then a 7 million support is a good shout with a cheap shout. If you can afford a more expensive one and you think they're going to get the points, then go with that as well. But my answer to that would be no, it's not the best way to look at it. What about Max Meyer at 6? Max Meyer at 6? Isn't he the guy that used to play in Germany? Has he moved club recently? I may be out of the loop with this one. if you can put in the chat who he's moved to, but I do not know much about his stats, to be fair. I personally, Aaron Scott, at the start of the season, won't be doubling up on Liverpool. My goal is to get Salah and pretty much captain him. So probably not going to be doubling up on Liverpool. I mean, that's a good midfield. It could do well for you. I just think putting too many eggs in one basket at the start of the season could be risky. English football, or any football, is unpredictable. For some reason, Mane could have a real stinker of a season. There's no reason I think that's going to actually be the case, but it is possible. So I don't like putting too many of my eggs in one basket. That may be why historically I've never had an amazing start to the season, but I'd rather do that and then be able to fix it than go all eggs in one basket and be really wrong. Okay, I've just seen a comment that it wants me to approve. I'm probably not going to approve that just because of the content. Who actually put that one there? LSD Bear, I appreciate the gesture, but it's not going in the chat. Who are the two best £6.5 million options? Are you talking about strikers or midfielders there, Seb? And I'll be happy to answer your question. Firetog, as far as I'm aware, there's not a channel that broadcasts a Premier League fantasy show. I think you find it on either Facebook or you get it off of the website, I believe. I feel like I'm really not up to date with transfers this year. This is what happens when you have a newborn or roughly newborn kid. TP, I don't know who Bliff is, or Blythe. How you doing, Richard? Richard Torrenson. Okay, so we've got Daraj Pandey. There's a quite regular and probably chat famous Daraj. So you're in good company, Daraj Pandey. Premium goalkeeper or alternative goalkeeper? Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm really liking the look of Pickford and Schmeichel if they go to Chelsea. Because then I feel like you've got a stick and pick and forget. I've forgotten the terminology for it. But a nailed-on choice in a top team like Pickford or Schmeichel at Chelsea for $5 million. Now, I think you can't go wrong with that personally. So that is, of course, with Courtois leaving and then the goalkeeper being brought in. If that happens, and I don't know how likely it is, I may just go premium goalkeeper. They're probably not premium at $5 million, but premium goalkeeper, I'd like not having to worry about transferring my goalkeepers. So Edison looks a pretty safe choice to go with. Other than that, I think I don't want to spend $6 million on a goalkeeper. I can't bring myself to do it. Edison, and then maybe Chelsea's goalkeeper or Arsenal's goalkeeper if I was going to just stick someone in and forget them for $5 million. I think $5 million stick and forget is pretty nice. Other than that, I'm really liking Lucas Fabianski, and it's just about finding the rotation partner for him that I'd be happy going with. So that's how I see the whole goalkeeper situation. TP Football Analysis, your Wildcat stream must have broken a record for longest draft with 4 people. The reason TP we took so long is we wanted to have some explanation of what we were doing and some chat. We didn't want to just be you guys watching us go pick, 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 pick. We wanted it to be a bit more interactive. And because we went and did that, it took an hour to do a stream with 4 people. And as you notice, if you watch that stream, I went quite quiet near the end. That's because my daughter needed to go to bed and the stream was still going. And I had no way of really telling the guys that I needed the stream to end without cutting someone off completely. Or if I message someone, it does mess up the way the cameras are set up in the setup I have. So I was like, ugh, I need them to stop. We have more from Robert Hansen. Thank you so much. Corona's a beer, isn't it? But anyway, thank you so much for a bit more Swedish P. Thank you so much, Robert. Much appreciated. And a new subscriber with Matthew Calderwell as well. Although you're probably picking up my computer's audio, which is probably really annoying, so I better lower that. Anyway, so yeah, that was why it was so long, TP. So apologies for that. Half pint, Cook, King, or find the extra 0.5 for Zaha and or/Tucson. Now with Zaha, if I can find my notes on Zaha, do I have anything major written about Zaha? Okay, so Zaha doesn't seem to be starting up front. The notes I've got suggest that he's more attacking midfield or out wide, and Sorloth may be the one that leads the line. That's going off of pre-season. And then as far as Tucson, I mean, Everton just haven't been in good form during pre-season. So I'm not going for Everton players. Maybe I'd pick an attacking one like Sigurdsson, Tucson, Richarlison. But defensively, Marco Silva doesn't make me think defensive solidarity. So if you wanted to go Zaha, potentially, but for me, I worry King is just having a good pre-season. He didn't have a great season last year, but had a very good one the year before. I mean, Defoe's got 2 goals as well. I'm just not sure and sold on King. So I would prefer Zaha at Palace than King at Bournemouth. So that would be my call on that one, half point. Is it worth taking out Morata and Bernardo for Pedro and Aguero from Ismail Mayet? The thing with Morata is it looks like he could be the one leading the line at Chelsea this year. If he gets confident and gets some form, Morata showed at times he could be a very strong option in FPL. I think it was a very short period last year, but it's possible. Bernardo Silva, I'd be worried about because of Mahrez not being injured, although he has the best form off of pre-season for City. I would wait until as close as possible to figure out if Silva or Mahrez is probably the best option in that City lineup. Pedro, for me, again, very good pre-season, but could be a good one to start the season with. May not necessarily be the best option to have all season, though. And Aguero's a good shout. Again, rotation at City is a pain, and I'm not sure I want to deal with it this season. So that's why I worry about Aguero. So pretty much, Ismail, I have not really answered your question, apart from said my issues with all of them, pretty much. What do I think about Sanchez? If Sanchez starts and leads the line, I know a lot of the press are saying stuff about Man United not going to do very well, but Man United historically don't do awfully. Sanchez is a good player, and if he's leading the line up front, I think that is one of those that sometimes you just can't ignore. So I like the look of Sanchez, just it's whether I'm willing to spend that much on him in the beginning. If you are willing to spend that much on the beginning, I think he's a good shout, at least for the beginning, and he's easy to downgrade from. So it's not like you can't just, if he does do really badly or gets moved out of position or something like that, move him to another player that is cheaper, because there's a lot of players cheaper, and only really Salah is going to be the difficult one to upgrade to. Worried for Burnley Europa League. I'm worried for Burnley. They seem to have picked up a few injuries recently. If I go to the injury table for Burnley, we have Chris Wood, potential return, 12th of the 8th. Aaron Lennon, potential return, 12th of the 8th. Stephen Ward, 12th of the 8th. Westwood, 12th of the 8th. Nick Pope, no return date. Tom Heaton, 12th of the 8th. Robbie Brady, 12th of the 8th. Stephen Defoe, no return date. So that is a lot of their players out at the moment. I think as far as up front goes, Chris Wood being out for the first game of the season might make it easier to pick that option. But yes, already they're picking up the injuries, Burnley, so I'm not too sure about them. Richard S. asking about a combination choice. Eriksen, Neves and Masuaku, or Rickarlison, Jota and Milivojevic. I really like Eriksen. I think he's going to be one of the top scorers this season. Neves, I'm not sure he'll be able to dictate play as much as he did in the Championship. I'm sure he'll still be a great player. Just not sure the returns on Neves are going to beat the likes of Richarlison and Jota. Masuaku, it's all about whether he plays. I know in pre-season he has got game time. Your other three feel safer to me, even though I'm not 100% sure on Richarlison just because of his drop-off last season. But Milivojevic, as long as he's on pens, is a good choice, and as long as he converts them. Jota looks the best Wolves option to me. I mean, if you could have Eriksen, Jota and Milivojevic, then that would be what I would prefer. Apparently I Am Negan can't hear me, but as far as I can tell, no one else has had an issue. I will up the volume a bit. Hopefully that is better for you. My team is in front of you, Seb. At the moment, I have Foster and Fabianski. I'm probably going to change that. To be honest, I've not touched this team for about 2 weeks now. But in defence, Alonso, Shaw, Coleman, Daniels and Cedric. I'm thinking Coleman is probably going to exit out that side. I'm not sure about defensive clean sheets there. Alonso, I'm not sure I want to spend that much on him with the new formation at Chelsea. Lamella can change to Lucas Moura because I believe he will get game time at the beginning of the season. Salah's probably going to stay. Sane may change to Mahrez. Pedro, if I think he's starting, will probably stay. Jota will probably stay. I like Aubameyang and Arnautovic. Quainer is just a placeholder pretty much, a cheap budget option that's going to sit on my bench. If I can pick maybe the Fulham striker, if I think he's going to start, may go there instead. But that's what my team is looking like at the moment. Williams, Darrell, Kane or no Kane? No Kane for the start of the season. Wait until he looks fully fit. You can bring him back in. I think Salah's the one you need. But Kane could have another great season. Hopefully, by the time he's coming back to the forefront, it'll be time for us to play our wild card. Not that I've got a set date for my wild card, but I think I'll be playing it somewhere between game week 3, 4 and 7, 8. Who is best as a fourth midfielder? That completely depends on your budget, because I think some people are going to spend more in midfield this year, Nishad. So, I mean, there's plenty of cheap midfield options that could be starting the season. So I would definitely look at the likes of Pedro, Jota, Lucas Moura. A lot of the big sides will be playing some of their second, maybe not second string, but rotation players at the beginning of the season. And then we can always find out after 3 or 4 game weeks if there is any really good fourth midfielder option. I'm being told to update the Prem logo in the bottom right. Do I even have a Prem logo in the bottom right? I'm not 100% sure what you're talking about there. But never mind. If that is my banner, then yeah, I don't think the banner's going to be updated anytime soon. Most nailed on City attacker. When he's fit, Kevin De Bruyne. Until then, I worry about Sane because of Mendy. I've said that before. Whether they're going to a 3-5-2 or something like that. Mahrez has been brought in for a lot of money. I get the feeling that Pep wanted Mahrez. So I'd be very interested in Mahrez if he does seem nailed on. Outside of... It's just going to... Kevin De Bruyne, to me, is the only one that is a real nailed on option there in that Man City side. Seb says Aguero is expected to start. I mean, I would expect Aguero to start over Jesus. So it'd be interesting to see how fit Aguero is at the start of the season. Thoughts on Chelsea midfielders? Barkley, Fabregas, Pedro, maybe even Hudson-Odoi. Pedro is the one I like the look of most. He's the most advanced. Don't get me wrong, Barkley and Fabregas could be great value for money. I wouldn't go with Hudson-Odoi just yet, because I think he's definitely the one that will be dropped first when people come back in and return to match sharpness. But I think there's definitely options where you could be looking at a cheap Chelsea midfielder who could get you points. Evan J. Fox, who should I play captain? Salah, Firmino, Eriksen or Sane? Salah. If you spent 13 million on a player, you need to be captaining them very often. So I would say Salah straight away, Evan J. Fox. Oh, we got someone that's finally caught alive. So thank you, Guta, for joining the stream. Oh, we got Fantasway in the chat as well. If you didn't know, Fantasway has a channel as well. Feel free to check that out. Jamie K, I'm aware of that. I just literally haven't touched my side in ages. Too busy making content or looking after my kids. There we go. Sorry, chat dropped to the bottom again as usual. Mayer joined Crystal Palace, did he? Let's have a looky. Is he on the game yet? Okay, 6 million. I don't know much about him, but I mean, Football Manager and FIFA have always said that he's half decent, so he could be a shout. The false 9, I personally think Aubameyang should have started out wide, which makes Lacazette look better for me than he did initially. Aubameyang could be as effective as someone like Mohamed Salah, though, out wide. So, Sam Morris has just joined the flock. Thank you so much, Sam, for joining the flock. I like the look of Lacazette because of his positioning, where he's starting at the moment, though. Shaqiri instead of Salah, Sanchez instead of Lamela. If I think Salah's starting, there's no way Shaqiri's going in over Salah. Sanchez instead of Lamela, that's a big increase in price, but I'm assuming you're saying that because of changing Shaqiri in for Salah. Shaqiri for me would be a short-term option. I've gone Salah because I think he's staying on my side the majority of the season. Sanchez, I am looking to see if there's a way to fit him in as well, but that's a lot of money to chip out on another premium midfielder. Why do you have Lamela in? Look, if it's going to stop people asking that question, because the plan is to take Lamela out. But obviously, it being on the screen is annoying some people. So we will change it right now, because I do actually have the 0.5 as well. The reason he initially made it there is because he was playing some preseason games and he was cheaper. And I've always liked Lamela and thought 1 year he could have a breakout season. But it's just never come, has it? It's just never come. Opinion on Rui Patricio and Leno as my two goalkeepers. The Christian 95, I like both choices as keepers. Just 9.5, I suppose that's not too bad, 9.5 to spend. The thing is, if I have an Arsenal keeper, I want to be playing him every game week. So that's just kind of the way I see it. Half point, will Balbuena start for West Ham? I think he has been brought in to be a starter. I'm not 100% sold if he will necessarily secure that place. We have to wait and see on that. But he's been brought in for that, so it wouldn't surprise me. Thoughts on Lennon for Burnley? As far as I'm aware, Aaron Lennon has an injury, so he wouldn't be in my side for the first game week, but apparently they have been playing 4-3-3 during pre-season. Lennon could be very good in a 4-3-3, so that could be a good shout, moving past his injury. As for Seb, 6.5 million strikers, I was going to say Chris Wood. Chris Wood has been my pick for a while now, but unfortunately, if I can get back onto transfers, unfortunately he has got an injury, which shouldn't take him out for too long. But in his absence, I mean, a lot of people are going King. Was the third best scoring striker in that bracket. I mean, you could go Perez, but I don't fancy Perez for some reason. You could always just pick, say, whoever you think is going to start for Burnley, Vokes at 5.5 if he starts is a good shout. Or Barnes and then bring in Wood. Benteke at 6.5. Like, if he found his form again, that would be a really nice option. I mean, a lot of people saying Austin, but I really cannot see Austin being an intelligent pick. Gray, if he starts, maybe could improve on last season. But I mean, there's a reason I've gone with an expensive one, a 7 million one, and a cheap one. I think points are in midfield this year. Junior, I agree. Richarlison could be a great shout at 6.5 as we go over 100 people currently viewing. So thank you guys. Second stream in a row going over the 100 mark. Much appreciated the love. Richarlison under Silva, of course, last year had a great start to the season, then kind of tailed off. I worry that could happen again. So at the beginning of the season, great choice, but just be wary. If he does start to tail off again, it might be worth selling him quickly. Barry Beckford, do you think Kamara is a guaranteed striker for Fulham? I mean, if he is, he's nice to have on your side as 4.5 million. 5 million, sorry. Has scored during pre-season, but I believe it's only the one that he's scored. But yeah, I mean, if he's starting, but I'm not 100% sure. I reckon Schürrle's come in. They may want to play him up front. They may still be looking in the transfer market for a striker. Mark Antwiga, will Aguero and Firmino start? There's a reason neither are on my side, because I'm worried they won't start. If they've got no pre-season games at all, I'm probably not going to risk them for the first game of the season. That is the way I'll play it. That's just to be safe, Mark. You could, of course, risk it, and if they play, they could do really well. Just I like them to have had some game time during pre-season. Richarlison versus Zaha, who'd score more? I'd go with Zaha. More reliable. Looks like he's really starting to reach his potential. The Australian Sports Channel shows fantasy football. That's nice, Aaron. Kind of wish I lived down south. Maybe I could get a job. Yeah, don't worry, TP. And I just saw Bliff and I was like, is this some signing that I know nothing about? It looks like everywhere gets the show apart from in England. The Premier League show, the actual Fantasy Premier League show. Mark Antigua, generally, as far as I'm aware, they've never changed a player's price, even if they move club, even if it's a big, big transfer, they don't change the player's price. Who's the best 4.5 million striker? Does it really matter if you're spending that little on your striker? Do you actually need him to be playing? I mean, you'd like him to be playing, but it's easy to just swap. I mean, Quain is the one that got points last year, but you're literally looking at two people, I think. You've got Kamara and Quainer. Those are literally the only two I'd be considering if I was that desperate for. And I mean, I've got Quainer, but I expect him to just literally sit on my bench nearly all the time. Has Cedric been seen in pre-season? Worried? Let's have a looky see. I mean, I'm kind of turning off Cedric a little bit. I've not heard much about him either. If he has played, he has not got anything of note which would put him into any of my notes. So as far as I'm aware, he may not have started a game yet. Not that I've watched every game and know that for 100% sure, but he's not in any of my stats. He's not got an assist or a goal, which would mean I'd have made a note on him. So, yeah, Cedric may not start. Again, the plus side is, if you have Thursday and Friday off, that's when you want to be making the last moves. Arnie and Orba both have tough opening fixtures. Yes, I agree. But my point here is Aubameyang is playing a Man City side that are weaker than they usually are. And Arsenal-Man City is usually a high-scoring game. Arnautovic, again, may not score in the Liverpool game. I completely agree with you. And the fixtures don't look good, but he's just been on form. Out of the 7 million striker options, he is the one I like the look of the most. Is that sweat dripping down my arm? Is that how hot it is? Mitrovic of Fulham, I think, will score 15 goals. That could happen, but I didn't see him do it at Newcastle. Fulham, of course, is a different environment. Could do better there. I probably wouldn't risk Mitrovic. If he starts scoring, don't get me wrong, I'll transfer him in quickly. Try and get him before he rises in price too much. Hey, maybe it was a strategy, TP. Maybe she was trying to make us think she didn't know what she was doing. How about Hennessy from Crystal Palace? Apparently he's shared game time with their new goalkeeper, so I wouldn't risk that. Van Aanholt. My issue is he plays for Palace. How many clean sheets are Palace going to get? I am going to start trying to get through some of these questions because I think I'm still quite far behind the chat. Bottom three predictions: Cardiff, Fulham, and the last one's difficult, TP. Last one's difficult. Give me a couple game weeks in and I'll pick my third one. What about Sorloth at 5 million? He looks like the starter, excuse me, for Crystal Palace, so could be a great shout. Azpilicueta or Walker? I think Walker, because Man City and Chelsea should get relatively close on clean sheets. I think Walker is more likely to get some sort of assists with that, so I'd go with Walker. Kenny YouTube trends, don't worry, Alonso will be downgraded. Midfield wise, it was literally, I picked my midfield first and it was ones I thought would start at the time 2 weeks ago. So this team will change. Like, don't worry, the team will change. I kind of wish I changed it before I started streaming, but I just didn't have time because a lot of you are pointing things out that I'm already considering doing. Huddersfield are a good shout, Junior. Definitely a good shout. Jamie K, they're all in the chat, I promise. I'm not just making questions up. We have more. Robert Hansen is just balling at the moment. He's throwing Krona at me like I'm a... Never mind, I won't divulge into that sentence anymore. But thank you so much, Robert, for another donation. Much appreciated. Now you can buy a fancy hat to wear on the streams. Unfortunately, my head isn't really made for hats because it's big. I just have a big head. It's like, nothing I can do about that. So I don't own many hats. But you know what? With that money, maybe I can get a custom hat made for myself. More hearts in the chat, by the way. Chat, you're slacking. When someone donates to the stream, we need to be seeing some hearts in the chat. Otamendi and Fernandinho to start. Otamendi would be a good shout. Jamie K, unfortunately, this is always the way. Always the way. I could just start answering questions straight away, but then I feel like I'm not letting people get into the stream to see my answers. Lucas Moura, I've literally put him into my side. I think we are now getting to the point where I've answered some questions and they're coming up again. What I need is like literally someone to sit there, pick out the best questions and send them to me. Is this live? Might as well not be, mightn't it, Kenyon? Do I think Hennessy starts in goal for Palace? Not sure, which is why I'm not going anywhere near them. Lukaku rush back. I don't like when a player's rush back. I sometimes think that can go very wrong. Is Ruben Neves on pens from Colin Barker? If he is, that makes him a better option, but with all the new signings, I don't know. Fabianski or Adrian for West Ham? I think Fabianski has to start now they brought him in. Surely. He's a very good goalkeeper, despite the fact he's played for some clubs that are not the greatest. The false nine, I can't pronounce either. Milivojevic. And then Jahan Bakash. How'd I do? We have another Another donation from Byrie Beckford. Keep up the good work, JNO. One of the best FPL pages on YouTube. Thank you so much, Byrie. Much appreciated. We are balling today in the stream. 100 people odd watching live. Money being donated. Subscribers joining. Love this time of year. Although I get bombarded with questions. Hence why I'm so far in the chat. Shaqiri isn't guaranteed to start at all from Junior, which is why he's not on my side. I'm just going to ignore any question I think I've answered already. Rad Robbie, Patricio, promoted side, set and forget. I'm not sure Patricio's a good choice for that, just in case Wolves don't have the kind of defensive season they had last year. Schürrle or Sessegnon, to me, neither. I'm not going near Fulham. Schürrle's not set the world alight in Bundesliga. I think a lot of people are just remembering the World Cup winner and the Chelsea player. I personally don't like either as a Fulham option right now. I'm not saying neither can do well, just it's not something I would go and put my backing behind. So yeah, definitely not really liking the look of either. David Luiz at Chelsea, very good for the budget. Literally, so for instance, if we look at Alonso, I don't think he's going to score as many under the new manager. I think it's Sarri at Chelsea as he has done before. And I don't think Azpilicueta will necessarily get as many assists. And then if David Luiz is starting, I'm saving $1 million by putting him in. And again, this isn't necessarily going to be definitely my side. But now I've got $1 million that I could spend on Mora to get an £8 million midfielder, Pedro. So money I could spend elsewhere to improve my side. So I do like the look of David Luiz if I'm confident of him being a starter. Alex Aitken, Watford seems to have a good run of opening games. Which defenders will start for them? That's my problem. My problem is I don't like Watford as a defensive unit necessarily. Hence why I think Foster might be a good shout because of save points. Yes, first 3 fixtures are decent. Brighton, Hove Albion, Burnley, Palace. But then you need to be getting them out by Game Week 4. Tottenham, Man United. Then Game Week 6, Fulham. But then it's 7, Arsenal. So if you're playing them for first 3 game weeks, it's not a bad shout. I would literally look at their last pre-season game as generally a good look of who might start. Is there anyone that stands out to me Watford-wise that I've made a note on? I mean, if you can pick out their fullbacks, from what I see, they're playing a 4-4-2. So Janmat could be getting some assists. He's got 1 assist this pre-season so far. I think the wing-backs are going to get forward a lot. So that would potentially be where I look for at Watford. Jacques Bash, or however you say his name, is pronounced overpriced. That's a good one, Jamie K. Christensen or David Luiz? I think David Luiz, I just feel like he's going to be favoured. I don't have anything to really back that. Is there anything in my notes that makes me think David Luiz is a definite? Okay, so far as I can tell, he's started at least 2 out of the 3 games Chelsea have played during pre-season. So David Luiz looks a very good option for me personally. Rohan Sharma, how you doing? We got a Patreon in the chat. Good to see you, mate. Evan Chowdhury, I love the look of Sanchez for the beginning of the season, definitely. Gerard Pro, I don't think Pedro starts over Willian or Hazard if they both stay. But for the beginning of the season, I think he will start. I've answered the David Luiz. Is Eric Bailly a good option? Will he start? I worry about rotation at Manchester United. So I'd probably avoid Bailly. I know he started a lot of games last year, but I just want to see a bit more about that side. Sam Morris, what a good picks for starting my team. Get Salah in and then do the rest. I'm sorry, I'm a proponent of you need Salah in your side. Even if he does badly, it doesn't affect you too badly if he does, because so many other people are going to own him. If he does really well and you don't have him, you're going to have to do some team surgery to get him back in. And you're going to miss out on points that almost half the players are going to be getting. Jagielka from Everton, a good option. I don't like Everton defensively, so not for me. Kolasinac out for 10 weeks. Could be interesting to see who plays left back at Arsenal then. Okay, where am I in the chat? I know I'm so far behind in the chat when I've got to literally scroll so much. If Pep plays 3-5-2, no. Okay, I think that's been asked twice and I've just found the lower question. Or I just read that earlier than I was meant to. Wow, I'm really far behind in the chat, aren't I? Alright, so we're going to kind of quick fire some questions now. Wow, how far behind am I? Jeez. Alright, so we're going to have to be a bit picky over these questions now. Apologies if I don't answer your question. Okay, Junior City play 3-5-2, both Hayes and Aguero, good option. If they play 3-5-2 and they're both starting, I would probably lean towards Jesus because I believe he's cheaper. But yeah, if they both start, then you can put one of them in your side, feeling a little bit better about starts. Jamal Rice, good to see you in the chat, my friend. Nice to see you there. Monreal also injured. So there, there's a big question over who is going to be Arsenal left back. Rudiger, Mendy or Bellerin, Azpilicueta, which should I get? I'll probably go... I'd really like the look of Mendy if he starts a lot this season. Another 20 Corona from Robert Hansen. Thank you so much, my man. That's like the 4th donation, isn't it? Oh, was... okay, fair enough, TP. You know how far behind I am. Tom Cameron, you are 100% correct. Tomorrow's friendlies are crucial. You'll get a very good look at what may be the starting side for Premier League sides. I believe Jamie K, if Pep says it, I think Mendy's going to be very important. 5 million midfield option. Neves is nailed on as it gets. Could be getting points, ticking over slowly. So if you're looking for a 5 million midfielder, Neves is decent. Is Max Meyer worth getting in? I don't know enough about him yet, Manish. Sorry about that. Seb, I'm not set on this side. Weaselmon, I've been live for 52 minutes, so probably going to... Unfortunately, I would love to do like the 2-3 hour streams I did last year at the beginning of the season, but I just can't commit to that anymore because of my 5-month-old daughter. Apologies if I'm not answering a question you've asked. I've either already answered it or I feel like it's not the best questions to answer. I'm going to have to be picky. I really apologise for that. JP43, as far as 4.5 million defenders, you could go with Bournemouth ones. They do have an attacking threat. Brighton Hove Albion weren't awful last season as far as clean sheets, and Dunk and Duffy did both have goal threat. Paddy Farrell, Van Dijk or Robertson, I'd definitely go Robertson if you can afford him, but Van Dijk could be popping up with some goals. He had good goal threat while not actually converting. My starting 11, I mean, coverage-wise, it's not going to change too much. I'm going to want players from the sides I think have a good start to the season. I might avoid Man United. I'm not getting any... I know I've got Lucas Moura. I may just risk not having a Spurs player just because so many of their players haven't been there for pre-season. But it shouldn't change massively. But I think the options like Alonso to David Luiz, I think the likes of Coleman aren't going to be there. May just go with 2 premium price defenders and go for the cheap ones in sides that should get clean sheets. Well, I appreciate it, Jamie Keeley. This guy's dumb. Thanks so much for the input. If Firmino's playing against Napoli tomorrow, that is promising. Jamie Keeley, I was aware that Mitrovic signed for Fulham. I wasn't aware of Max Meyer. I'm not going to lie about that. Dipto Momen. Kane has come out and said he plans on starting from game week 1. But I personally don't see it. And if he does start, I'm just not sure he's actually going to physically and mentally be ready. Nick Pasquet, I personally think for the beginning of the season, a lot of those players you mentioned aren't risky. Cedric definitely is. But again, I picked this team 2 weeks ago. Next live stream, I'm going to pick my team before I come on because you guys definitely don't like this team. Daniels, yes, he's risky because they've made some signings. But he wasn't when I picked him. He seemed like a very good choice. I just didn't want to keep filling with my side when there's so much going to change. So this was my first draft. Now, 2 weeks ago, not much was said about it. Now, a lot is being said about it. As far as Sane and Pedro, I personally think Sane and Pedro have a good chance of starting in game week 1. Do I think the players that could replace them could come back sooner than I was expecting? Yes, that's definitely possible. But at the moment, that is the way I'm playing it. Well, it's not the way I'm playing it. It's just the way the team is on the screen. Jimmy Haig, the reason I don't have Neves is because I think Jota is a better option. Neves, yes, can score a wonder goal. Free kick, penalties, definitely is going to have points ticking over. I'm not arguing with that. What I am saying is I think he may not be given as much license to roam and maybe a player that is closed down by better sides in the Premier League than the Championship. Pre-season stats, I use Fantasy Football Scout, Richard S. Good website, it is membership, but they have good stats. I think David Luiz will start Mag. Thomas, I'm drinking Strongbow, although it's finished now. Florence Sandu, that could potentially be a genius move. I just do not like doubling up, especially at the start of the season. Bernardo Silva, it all depends on if he will start. He's been great in pre-season, Kieran Watt. I worry that he's not exactly nailed on with Mahrez and Sane and so on and so forth around. But I definitely like the look of Bernardo Silva. What is that noise? Never mind. Mag, I'm actually from England. I was born in England. If you're wondering the skin tone and everything, my mum is Brazilian. Title contenders, I think it's going to be between Man City and Liverpool this year. I'd probably go Man City, Liverpool, Junior, then Man United, just because they generally just get around that area, and then Chelsea, Arsenal both have a good chance. I've not said Spurs. I worry about Spurs transfer window. That's the issue with Spurs. All the other clubs, apart from Man United, haven't improved as much as I was thinking they would. But Man United have a habit of still managing to get top 4. I think City just was so dominant last year. They could, of course, have a drop-off from that. Liverpool have had a great transfer window. And I like what's happening at Arsenal and Chelsea. So I suppose, just off of gut, I'm not liking what's happened at Man United over pre-season. So, Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal. We shall see, though. Daraj Pandey, I think, formation-wise, it's all about the players you want. If there's 4 or 5 midfielders you think you need in your side, then you go with a 5-man midfield. I personally think 3-5-2 may be the way to go this season. Ricardo, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you in the chat. FPL Nim 3 in the chat as well. Kieran Watt, I am trying to cover my options at the beginning of the season. So Sane's in there because I've already got Salah. If I go all out Liverpool and they have a bad start for some reason, not that I think they will, but they do have a bad start for some reason, I'm going to suffer. Babin Rai, just because he's got the pedigree of all, like, apart from last year, of course, Sigurdsson has done it before. Richarlison had a good half a season. I kind of think in an attacking side, Sigurdsson could get a lot of points. If I could, I think I could have both Salah and Mane. I don't want them at the beginning. I'm still way behind. Way behind. Fist bump. I didn't actually see fist bump there, mate. But of course you can have a fist bump. I'm going to risk annoying a bunch of people now because there's so many more questions in the chat. What I will try and do is I will try and come on and do another live Sunday evening. Hopefully the people that have asked questions and I've not got to them can come back for them. I'm going to sign off, but I'm quickly going to explain why I come on and I don't always start answering questions straight away. Generally, I don't want to start talking too much about FPL before a good number of people have joined. Second, I do try and talk about topics for a bit so I can put a bit more insight into the question and then I fall behind. So that worked during the season when there weren't so many people viewing. It's obviously not working now. So next stream, maybe a lot more quickfire answers. Not quickfire as in you ask me, like, Asby or Alonso, I go Alonso, move on to the next question. I'll still give some thought into it. But what I would do is I'll sort out my team because the guys clearly aren't happy with it and it's not anywhere near what my final team would be anyway. Apart from the layout may be similar, I'm still going to probably have 5 midfielders I think will score points. And then 2 strikers I think will score points, that kind of thing. I do want 2 defenders at top clubs as well, so I can just leave them in the side. But I will sort out my team. We will do another live soon, and I will literally just answer questions in it. That is all I will do. So apologies if I haven't got to your question today. Really sorry about that. Just I cannot do the long streams I did last season. As soon as I can, of course, I'll start doing them again, but got to think about my 5-month-old kid. My wife needs to get sleep. She literally has to sort out the kid all day. But thank you guys so much for the support on this stream. It's hugely appreciated. Shout out to Robert. Shout out to... how have I forgotten? Byrie Beckford. Apologies, forgot your name, but there it is on the screen. Thank you for your donations today. It means so much, as does any support. If you want to support the channel like these legends did, you can, of course, do a super chat or sponsor the stream or check out Patreon. We have a bunch of Patreons who support the channel monthly. All of that is in the description. If you're new, like this video, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know when we next go live. I will try Sunday. I will try, but I might be seeing my mum on Sunday because it's her birthday, so it could be Monday. Twitter and on the feed in YouTube, I will let you guys know. Apologies, because I still see questions coming in, even though I'm saying I'm signing off. I will try and answer as many as possible next stream. Thank you guys for tuning in. I've been JNO. This has been FPL Today. And remember, it's all about the game. Now the awkward moment where all of my stop stream buttons are behind notifications. See you guys.